For the most part, academic discussion of flat and round characters have remained primitive and insufficient. Previous literature has correctly identified that roundness is a spectrum rather than a dichotomy, with the impossible Platonic ideals of flat and round at each end. All good characters are created round, but some are created rounder than others. But what characteristics we can expect to find at either end are poorly or incorrectly defined. Change, for example, is ubiquitously and crudely listed as a defining feature of round characters. Lots of flat characters change, most often from living to dead. Those that change in other ways are a little rounder, a little more contoured, but Clarissa Dalloway they do not suddenly become. Here, a new tripartite model of roundness as a concept is suggested, with its spheres being memory, tension, and revelation. These qualities do not exist in the text as mere narrative technique or devices, but are evoked by them. They are not in the prose, but are a felt consequence of the prose. Memory. Memory is the sense, often implied, that a character has not merely a history from before the beginning of the text, but the capacity to self-remember, has experienced lessons learned. What makes a person that one single unique person, or that character that one single unique character, is their ability to remember themselves, or the what happened before. Give them psychological continuity, memories and vagaries, yellowed and misremembered, washed in lavender and bleach. Such developed characters can sustain tension even in the quietest of scenes. The narrative arc moves not only forward, but inward as well. Tension. A round character has the quality of tension, what Aristotle called consistent inconsistency. This concept of tension was incidentally captured and summarized by George Saunders's concept of the internal orchestra in his analysis of Anton Chekhov's Gooseberries. Any idea we express is just one of many we have within us. In daily life, of course, we choose to identify with and endorse and live by and fight for certain of those ideas and dampen others that, nevertheless, we're capable of imagining. We walk around identifying with one set of opinions and assessing the world from that position. Our inner orchestra has been instructed that certain instruments are to dominate, others to play softly or not at all. Writing, we get a chance to change the mix. Quieter instruments are allowed to come to the fore, our usual blaring beliefs are asked to sit quietly, horns in their laps. This is good. It reminds us that those other, quieter instruments were there all the time, and that, by extrapolation, every person in the world has his or her inner orchestra, and the instruments present in the orchestras are, roughly speaking, the same as the ones in ours. At the stage of tension, a writer is considering what competing impulses and contradictory ideas does a character hold. What instruments in their inner orchestra are they trying to play loudly, and which are they trying to keep silent, but are present nonetheless? Which traits, tendencies, and desires are at war not simply with the world, but with other traits, tendencies, and desires of our own? This inner orchestra is present in all people, and feeling it in the shadow of a story is what gives a character the sense of being complex, lifelike, and round. Not change or an arc alone, but the possibility of competing behaviors driven by competing impulses. As Freud once said, man is not master of his own house. Revelation. The final rounding quality is revelation. Once again, change and arc is not necessarily rounding. The rounding quality is revelation, the ability to discover and respond, to perceive new information, whether that comes from the external world or arises internally. Does it seem possible that the character can make a discovery that makes a difference? Is the sense that it seems possible. Conclusion. In the tripartite conceptualization of roundness, everything ultimately hinges on the concept of tension, the sense of an internal orchestra of competing impulses. The character's memory cultivates these impulses. The tension pushes and pulls the impulses, and this affects what new information a character perceives and responds to. It is these features in the cumulative meaning of a text When a reader senses them, that makes a character feel round. The question then becomes, how do we evoke these concepts? How should one forge the prose to cast a shadow of memory, tension, and revelation? The answer is with silhouette, arc, and representation.